Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin has officially confirmed the breakout from this massive resistance on the 2-day time frame after just recently confirming the breakout from this bullish pattern on the daily time frame. But in the short term, on smaller time frames, Bitcoin is now starting to play out an overbought signal similar to what we saw previously on this chart right here. So this could trap some traders in the short term, which I'll talk about in just a moment, while Bitcoin whales out there are still buying massive amounts of Bitcoin right now, while Ethereum is also playing out this overbought signal here in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to once again look at the Bitcoin news today, because on Wednesday, we saw yet another massive net inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs over in the US. And this time around on Wednesday, we saw a net inflow of nearly $500 million again, more specifically around $458.5 million US dollars flowing into the spot Bitcoin ETFs just on Wednesday. And so obviously this week so far has been a massive week for the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Just from Monday to Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday overall, we've seen net inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs of just under $1.4 billion US dollars in only 3 trading days. So this is really one of the biggest net inflows that we've seen over a 3-day period into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, which is adding a lot of buying pressure right now for the price of Bitcoin. And out of all of the different spot Bitcoin ETFs that we have trading in the US, the largest buyer over Tuesday and Wednesday, the last 2 trading days here that we have the information for, was indeed BlackRock. So right now, BlackRock's buying a lot of Bitcoin. Specifically on Tuesday and Wednesday, BlackRock bought hundreds of millions of dollars on each of those days, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin flowing into specifically just the BlackRock ETF on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so while some short-term traders might be panic selling at the first sign of some red candles for the price of Bitcoin, BlackRock, on the other hand, is buying more and more Bitcoin on behalf of the investors investing into the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF. But with that being said, taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, the super trend indicator on this time frame technically is still sitting in the red, but very soon this will potentially flip back into the green, as I talked about in my last video. So getting straight into the 2-day time frame, and one of the reasons why we're starting to look more bullish again, specifically on this chart, is clearly because we've now confirmed the breakout finally above this massive descending line of resistance that has been acting as major resistance since around March this year. So for over half a year, this has been huge resistance for the price of Bitcoin, and we've now finally seen the breakout confirmed with a 2-day candle close well above this resistance. And so this is an obvious change in price structure, the first significant bullish change on this larger time frame here that we've seen in a long time, since basically the beginning of the year, because obviously for most of this year, for around the middle of the year, we saw major lower highs and lower lows, but more recently, obviously, we're starting to form higher highs and some higher lows here, and now an actual confirmed breakout above this major resistance, which is all bullish price structure. And so this is telling us we're at a major shifting between a bearish trend into a bullish trend on the larger time frames, not just a short-term trend or a short-term pump or dump, but a longer-term bullish trend, likely beginning right now, also known as a bull run. And this could potentially last for a number of months. But as I said in my last video, it's important to keep expectations realistic. So like I said, during this previous larger bearish trend, occasionally we can see the occasional short-term bullish trend or short-term pump along the way down. But during a bull run or basically a longer-term bullish trend, we can see the occasional pullback or sideways consolidation along the way up. So just keep that in mind. It's not 100% only bullish price action, but the overall trend and momentum right now is clearly bullish. And with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and right now we are still running into this major area of resistance on this time frame, sitting in between around 67,000 to 68,000. And so far we are struggling quite a bit, at least in the short term, in that area, which is to be expected because we do previously have a significant area of resistance in that price range, and also significant amounts of traded volume based on the volume profile indicator in between 67 to 68,000, showing major resistance. And so obviously, if we could see a confirmed breakout above 68,000 with at least a daily candle close well above 68,000, obviously that would further confirm this bullish breakout and likely send the price up towards this all-time high price range in between around 72 to 74,000 within the next couple of weeks or so. In the coming weeks, that will likely happen if we can first see a breakout above 68,000. We need to jump over that hurdle in order to move up towards the next obstacle. And so ultimately, between the current price and all-time highs, aka price discovery, we really only have 68,000 approximately as a major obstacle and around 72 to 73,000 give or take. In that area, we could find a bit of resistance based on previous price action. But with that being said, those are really the two final obstacles to pay attention to before potentially seeing new all-time highs. And now if we see another rejection from this area of resistance, the area of support that I'll be watching is this area in between around 64.1k to 64,500, but we could also find some support at close to 66,000. Basically previous resistance now acting as new supports, potentially seeing some sort of retest if we basically see a bit of a rejection here. But overall, the trend and momentum is still clearly bullish right now. It's just we're at a bit of a stopping point during the bullish trend due to the fact that the price is running into resistance, which is where the price is most likely going to struggle at. But with that being said, we've already confirmed this breakout from this bullish cup and handle pattern, as I've talked about over the last couple of days. And we've confirmed yet another daily candle close above this neckline here, which was sitting at around 66.3k. And so this basically further confirms the breakout for this bullish pattern with a bullish price target, which is technically active right now, sitting at close to $80,000. That is right, a bullish price target at $80,000 per Bitcoin. But obviously keep in mind, even though that price target's technically active based on this pattern and this breakout right here, obviously we cannot ignore resistance that's between now and then. For example, around 68,000, we still have a lot of resistance right there. And we could also find some resistance close to 72,000 and around 73,500, that all-time high level. But if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously right now this bullish divergence is technically still active, as I've been talking about basically every day over the last 1 week or so, since all the way back down here when the price was close to $60,000. I've been talking about this bullish divergence playing out, and so far we're seeing very similar price action to what we saw last time we saw a bullish divergence confirm and play out on the 8-hour Bitcoin chart, which was roughly around a month ago. But even though this bullish divergence is technically still active because we've not confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate this bullish divergence, with that being said, we cannot ignore this overbought signal in the 8-hour Bitcoin RSI, which I also mentioned just in my last 1 to 2 videos here on the channel over the last 1 to 2 days. And in those videos just recently, I said here on the channel, expect at some point in the next 1 or 2 days, some sort of short-term cool-off as a likely scenario during this bullish price action. And so far, we are just now starting to see that short-term cool-off. And now, as I also said in my last couple of videos, a short-term cool-off does not necessarily have to be a crash. It can just be perhaps a slight pullback or even just a sideways consolidation. So basically a slowdown from all of the bullish price action, maybe for a couple of days or so, in order to reset the RSI out of those overbought territories back down towards more neutral levels, which technically can give us more room to the upside later on. And just over the last day or so, we've already starting to see the effects of this overbought signal play out and basically reset the RSI here on the 8-hour time frame, because right now the RSI is technically out of overbought territories. So as of right now, it's sitting just underneath overbought territories. But with that being said, it's still very close to overbought territories, which means we could potentially continue to play out this short-term cool-off right here for perhaps another day or two in order to reset this RSI just in the short term. And this is not surprising that this is also happening at around the same time that we're running into key resistance in between 67 to 68,000. So just keep in mind, maybe for the next few days, we could continue to struggle in that area just for a couple of days here, which can reset the RSI, basically building more room to the upside for a potential further breakout at some point later on. And so a move like that could potentially trap some long positions and in some cases even trap some short positions in a bear trap. So for example, with late long positions, basically FOMOing into the pump at the last moment right here with very high leverage. If we see even just a slight little pullback, if you're on very high leverage, that could basically liquidate late long positions in a trap. And then, of course, this could also turn out to be a bit of a bear trap if we just see a minor pullback of some sort and then continue pumping later on. Obviously, if that fools some traders into entering high leverage short positions, and then we quickly pump again, giving us more room to the upside later on in the RSI after the reset, obviously that could also trap some short positions and play out potentially another short squeeze. And so overall, my trading strategy right now is to simply continue to hold my Bitcoin long position, which I entered at lower prices, which I shared here on the channel when I entered that trade. And as of right now, I've not really added to that trade over the last couple of days here. I'm simply just holding that trade. And in fact, over the last couple of days, I've taken a small amount of profits from that long position. But like I said, over the last couple of days, if we can confirm a breakout above around 68,000 approximately above this resistance with confirmation, so candle closes above that level, personally, I'll be looking to potentially add more to that Bitcoin long position. But once we actually confirm this breakout, which could happen potentially after we first see a bit of a cool off. And so that is my trading strategy right now in the short term. As always, not financial advice. I'm just being transparent with what I'm doing with my own money. And this is what I'm expecting moving forward for the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term and the longer term. And if you want to trade these moves for yourself in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a 500 USDT position airdrop. So basically a free $500 trade just by making your Bybit account using that link, making a deposit and claiming the airdrop. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also Bitnex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitnex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitnex. I'll also leave a link to Bitnex down below this video, and if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus, and only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitnex exchange forever, but that's only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bitnex account. And so as another option out there, other than Bybit, one that you can access from the US, once again, there's Bitnex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we don't really have any significant liquidity immediately just close to the price of Bitcoin here in the short term, but we do have a small area of liquidity starting to build to the upside here in between around 68,500 to 69,000 approximately, and a very small level of liquidity at around 66,500 give or take, and another small area of liquidity in between around 64.3k to 64.7k. But there's a good chance that if we see a bit more of a reset, some sort of short-term pullback, basically resetting the RSI, maybe over the next 1 or 2 days here in the short term, that could potentially tempt more short positions to enter into the market, which could build more liquidity to the upside, which could at some point later on, maybe in a half a week from now or a week from now, could be taken out in another short squeeze. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and over the last 1 day, not a lot has changed on this time frame right here. So right now, the price of ETH is still holding above 2,500, which should be acting as major support, and we still have significant support at around 2,150 to 2.2k, but we also have significant resistance to watch out for at around 2.8k. And if we can see a breakout above 2.8k, that is where we can flip much more bullish again on these larger time frames, because we'll finally be breaking out of this massive sideways price range right here and really reversing the larger bearish price structure if we can see a breakout above 2.8k. But with that being said, zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 8-hour Ethereum chart, and right now the price of ETH is continuing that short-term rejection from close to this major area of resistance, which is starting at around 2.7k to 2.8k, once again acting as massive resistance. So ultimately we're playing out that short-term rejection back down towards this area of support support, which we have already bounced from just one time over the last couple of days here, and that's sitting in between around 25.50 to 25.80, acting as short-term support. But if we see a confirmed break with candle closes back below around 25.50, in that case, obviously in the short term, that would be a bit of a bearish signal, potentially pointing towards a drop down towards the next area of support in between around 24.40 to 24.75. And it's also worth noting that just like that 8-hour Bitcoin chart, the 8-hour Ethereum chart is also now playing out an overbought signal for the first time since around mid to late September. And the last time we saw an overbought signal confirm in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI was basically here, and we did end up seeing a bit of a short-term pullback over the next couple of days or so. And so once again, we don't always see 100% bullish price action during these bullish movements. It's very normal to see short-term cool-offs along the way. But if we break below this support, then in that case, once again, that will be a short-term bearish signal pointing towards the next support. But while we're playing out that overbought signal, resetting this RSI, this is very healthy to see, because if we're very overbought, that's unsustainable for a bullish trend. And so I'll not be surprised that while this overbought signal is playing out, resetting the RSI, we basically lack some bullish momentum just in the short term here, maybe for a couple of days or so, in order to further reset the RSI, which can give us some more room to the upside later on. And if we're looking at Solana on the daily time frame, obviously Solana, just like Bitcoin and Ethereum, is also struggling around key resistance and now playing out a decent rejection from this massive area of resistance in between around 159 to 163. So like I've been saying since well before we even reached that area in between 159 to 163 is still acting as significant resistance, as we've just found out again. And so ultimately, the next major area of support to watch out for in case we continue this pullback here is sitting in between around 137 to 142, acting as major support as we've seen previously. And if we break back below around 137, obviously in the short term, that would be some bad news. But for now, that's still the support to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at this daily time frame right here, obviously, as I've been saying over the last few days, we've completed the formation phase for this potential inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would be a bullish pattern if it confirms. But as I've also said over the last few days, I want to make it clear that this pattern and this potential price target is not confirmed right now. It's not in play at all, because we've not yet seen a confirmed breakout above this neckline, which is sitting at around 158. And we've also not yet seen a confirmed breakout above this resistance, so above around 163. So like I've said over the last few days, we need to break out above 163 with confirmation. So candle closes above 163, at least on the daily time frame, in order to flip much more bullish again, expecting a much larger bullish move, not just a short-term pump. And also, due to the fact that we are rejecting from this major resistance right here, this has essentially put an end to this double bottom pattern, also known as a W pattern, which when it broke out, that activated a bullish price target at around 163. But as I warned about back here, we still have resistance starting at 159 going up towards 163. And so ultimately, that kind of stops the price from actually reaching the full price target at 163. So as I always say here on the channel, even if we have a bullish price target, we cannot ignore resistance. And so at this stage, this bullish price target for this specific pattern here on the 6-hour Solana chart is technically now invalid, because we've seen a break back below the point of the breakout. So basically the price going back below around 149, which technically invalidates this breakout and invalidates this price target for this pattern. And so personally, when it comes to my breakout trades, trading moves just like this is why I like to take some profits off the table from my long positions at around major resistance. So not necessarily closing the entire trade, but at least taking some profits off the table at major resistance, just in the case that we see potentially a major rejection, as we've seen many times around key resistance. And as I've also shared many times here on the channel, when it comes to these breakout trading opportunities, personally, I also like to move my stop loss at least to break even, but ideally moving my stop loss further into profits as the trade also moves further into profits, so that in the worst case scenario, if we just suddenly dump again before hitting the price target, that would also hit the stop loss and close the entire trade automatically at wherever the stop loss is sitting at. So if the stop loss is above my entry in the case of a long position, that would automatically close the trade in profit, even in the worst case scenario. But with that being said, that is just sharing my personal trading strategies when it comes to breakout moves like this. And as always, not personal financial advice because I don't know your personal financial situation. But if you want to trade moves just like this for yourself, once again, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.